Well, hey, thanks for joining, guys. This is one of our Throwback Thursday videos. We are cracking into and looking at some SimCity, the card game. Came out basically years ago when basically everyone was trying to license and turn basically an IP into a game, though, to basically capitalize on the craze. Is the trading card game or collectible card game, playable games, was just hitting its stride, though, with the success of Magic the Gathering. And so we've got a set here. We've got some cards that I've had for a while that we're going to take a look at, though, and basically we're going to go through each of these basically to kind of go over what basically came out of SimCity, though. So, as you know, and as I've gone through, I've covered a number of various games, though. This is going to probably be one of the more basically in-depth reviews, though, of SimCity, or basically some of the sets. You know, we spent some time on Highlander. I've still got basically some more that I will eventually go back to on Highlander. Basically, we'll get into some other games, though, as well, that came out in the day. If I get a hold of other ones in the future, though, I will to show those. I'm, of course, doing part of this because I've got, in some of the instances, I have the game, and clearly I could make, you know, when we get to basically to something like Star Trek, well, basically that's going to be a huge one. So you may see Star Trek pop up here. Here and there, though, or at least you may see some form of it, though, because what I've got is huge, and it'll take a while to go through. It basically will provide us with plenty of basically back Thursday throwback videos. Same with OverPower. It's kind of it's kind of why I'm doing these basically smaller ones, though, is because one, I don't have a lot of it, and two, it basically goes back to, you know, that ideal. So what we are going to do, we're going to go ahead and we're going to save this for opening later. We're going to look at these cards. We are actually going to go ahead and in this video open this up as well, though. This is basically one of the booster packs that was available, though. So, and I've seen some other stuff, though, that we may come to for SimCity as well, because this was, do you ever guys, I don't know how many of you played basically any of the SimCity building games, though. Back in the day, though, you could play it on the original Nintendo. That was the original SimCity, though. Then they brought it also to PC, and for the longest time it was a really, really great game. When they did this latest version, the last version of SimCity though. That to me though felt like they were they had put it in kind of a basically it did not live up to the previous versions of SimCity though. So SimCity, okay, so came out. So you had it come out on the Super NES back in 1989. Then you got SimCity 2000 and 3000. Then you got, and those were PC. Then you got SimCity 4, SimCity Societies. Never played that one. And then you got SimCity 2013, which was kind of like the SimCity Online though. And then of course you had The Sims, which actually has been a pretty good game. I've never played it though. There's Simcopter. Yeah, here we go. SimCity, the card game. Of course, came out in 95, 94 was when it was printed though. Expansions were added. Added locations and politician cards from various cities: Chicago, Washington, New York City, and Atlanta. Toronto was apparently an expansion that was planned, but never released. When the game launched, it was as one basically author wrote though, and Alan Varney of The Duelist, he noted that the fine solitaire play, and that the game eventually offered standalone city sets. But by the time, you know, it really, the base wasn't there to keep it going though. So, and of course, when basically SimCity launched here a few years ago with their latest offering back in 2013 though, it basically was hit hard by user reviews. I got it though, but it seemed to, you know, it had a lot of promise for the SimCity game though on the computer though, but basically there was a lot that left lacking though as well, including the fact that you could only basically play it initially in a online connection though, persistent internet connection. And there were server outages and lag though, and the multiplayer element was basically really shallow though. It wasn't that useful. Made the fact that you needed the internet though just that much more frustrating. EA did basically offer a consolation prize though for those who had bought it. Basically gave them a free game from their library though. But the always on requirement though, even in single player, made it a detriment to playing the game though. Eventually, gamers had figured out the code, figured out a way to work around the internet connection, and basically make a offline mode, which then EA eventually made available to everyone in 2014. But by then, though, it was a dead game. In 2015, Max's Emeraldville Studios closed, and as of this point, though, SimCity, basically the franchise is, at this point, is a dead franchise. Yeah, maybe it'll be back at some point, but the fact of the matter is that SimCity is, yeah, let's just say it really is. It ran its course though, and it got beaten by a game that launched later though, City Skylines, which took the lead there. Alright, so coming back to SimCity, the card game, we opened up that pack, and so now we've got Yosemite National Park. I gotta look. I think I have more of these larger cards though, but that is, of course, one of those things there. And then within that pack, we added a corrupt council member to go with ours for industry. We've got a movie theater. We have a non-corrupt council member. Try shuffling things just around just a bit so you guys can see as I pull these cards through. So there's our council member who's not corrupt versus our shady one. Then we've got basically we got a forest here. Great land always. We got a residence address house there. Hydraulic power plant. You gotta have some power. We got some parking. We're gonna add a barn. Oh, and a river. Okay. A used car dealership. And we got a SimCity courier. That's a event, a disaster, flood. I can go with our corrupt council member. Paper manufacturer. And we've got a local cleaner. And then we got a criminal courthouse. Hey, they can join our... no, we'll put that over here with our other council member. Alright, so now, as you guys can see, this is kind of cool though. Obviously, each of these cards have different basically functionalities though. From businesses, which of course would provide a stream of revenue, to a kind of a national or basically land lots though, power supply. And then of course you have things like residential that you would add as well, that basically would be where your people would hang out and live, you know, because they want a place to live. Obviously if they're going to work, you should have a place for them to live. And so you would then take each of those and basically build upon that step or process though, in building your game. So we are going to go ahead and wrap this video up, and we will come back, take a look further at some more of the SimCity game and the cards here. And in fact, I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take a look at the deck next, though, and go over the rules and stuff with the next video or two. Alright guys, it's been great. As always, I appreciate you guys hanging out. I love doing these kind of throwback type videos, though, since it gives me the opportunity to share some older stuff though with you guys. You get a chance to check out some older stuff. Games that have come and gone though, and in some of these games like that we've hit up so far that you've seen, basically some of them had basically had a history of their own already. So Magic the Gathering really did not truly have anything it was initially built upon, other than in a way it was built upon kind of the concept of, you know, basically Dungeons and Dragons without calling it Dungeons and Dragons or you know. And so it was basically, it was like a lot of other fantasy basically games of Magic and stuff. How can we make a game without actually hitting copyright issues or IP issues, intellectual property? So the decision was, and this is just my view, obviously you'd have to talk to the original people who created Magic, but it is what, to me, what makes sense, and that is that, you know, we want to do a D&D type style game, have some magic and stuff, but we can't call it D&D. It's already taken. Magic works. Magic's just kind of a generic game. And then, but we need it more, because if we want to license it and we want to protect it, we need something more than just Magic. So, Magic the Gathering. Then you get some of the other games that have come out though in that same time period or after it though, and you get things like Highlander. Well, that launched, you know, came out though after the movies and during the franchise of the Highlander, the series though. It had a following, so it was like, hey, let's try and make this a game. You had the X-Files, which, you know, which basically I have spent a little time with though. Try to come back over that at some point in the future, if I get some of the new stuff or a chance to open up though. But again, you know, it was based on a show that was out there. A lot of them you're going to find are that, you know, they're tapping into a pre-existing audience though. In fact, it is, if you will, one of the reasons why, in part, you're seeing with Magic though, and with WotC doing basically subsets though for other IP products or intellectual property. It's the reason why they did a expansion with Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. It's the reason why Baldur's Gate, Commander Legends is coming and exist, is because they own that property though. And so owning it, licensing it, different stories though. I mean, licensing of course means you have to pay somebody to use it. Owning it means you don't have to pay someone for it necessarily. You've already paid it, you own it. Which is where, you know, I can see down the road at some point. I mean, there's still a lot of potential left in the Adventures in Forgotten Realms of characters that they did not include, areas that they did not include, that you could expand upon that option. They of course can do Dragonlance as well. They could try doing Spellfire or some of the other things that fall under the umbrella of the basically the Wizards of the Coast acquired when they picked up the basically products of TSR, which was the original owner of the D&D and Forgotten Realms and Dragonlance, that sort of thing. You got SimCity, of course, which was never based on a show. It was based on a game, and that game had a lot of people who loved the game. It had a lot of following, and so people, they were like, let's try turning in the online game, or the PC, the gaming console version of it. Let's try making it into a cardboard game like this. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. We'll come back here and we'll take a look and talk more about SimCity. Appreciate you guys sticking around to the end here. We'll see you in the next video.